Victory! Meh. All right, go ahead and run that intro, Chucks.
I don't wait. You're gonna say a Matt, and then you're gonna.
Yeah, man, it is what it
Oh,
is. We'll see it on the other side.
okay.
We'll get.
Let's go! This ain't the fuck night, or this game can heat stink!
Oh shit!
It's gone!
Welcome, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, to Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio, brought to you by FanUp, the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily NFL contests, and more. Make sure you sign up today and use promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points, which is a $50 value. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the whole internet online. And if you are joining us on Apple Podcasts, thank you for downloading. We appreciate you. It's your boy Chucks over here. We got Pete over to my left as usual. What's going on, bro?
Coolin', brother. Meh.
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 A meh. We start off with a meh. And then we got our third wheel, or our third leg back from Texas. What's going on, Jeff? How you been?
What's going on, fellas? Glad to be back.
Good to have you back. It's the three of us once again, reunited after a few weeks of just me and Pete. So should be a fun show. But before we get into everything, I wanted to give a little shout out. I don't know if we call it shout out, but a little acknowledgement. As most of you know, our brother on Birds of a Feather, the co-founder, along with me, of Birds of a Feather, Mike Chrome, as we call him, he did lose his mother this week. So I want to send my thoughts, prayers, out to him and his family. And it's been, if you guys weren't aware of his family issues, that he's been going through a tough time with his family. So definitely keep him in your thoughts, your prayers, everything like that. I met his mom. I've had the privilege to meet his mom twice, and she was a phenomenal lady. Both of them were very, very close, and so this kind of hit it. I know it hits hard, so just we asked the fam to keep our brother Chrome and his family in your prayers and your thoughts. And Chrome, we love you, and you're always with us. Know that, always with us, guys. If you have anything to add, you can.
Nah, man. I knew she was sick. I didn't know she had left us, and he won't come out and say that, So, he's not going to be looking for that. We're just going to lift him up in our thoughts and our prayers, man. And just know that our hearts are with him in this difficult time. I love you, buddy. My ginger brother from another mother, man. And till the next time I see you, man, I'm gonna give you a big ass hug, man. So it sucks. It sucks losing someone like that. In no fashion it did. It happened pretty fast. So no more suffering for her or the family. We got you, Chrome. We hold you down.
Jeff, you got anything to add?
No, you guys pretty much summed it up pretty perfectly. Just think of the family, think of Chrome, respect their privacy at this time, but just hold your loved ones closer when things like this. So
absolutely. All right, so let's get into it tonight, guys. The three of us, we're back and we're reunited. Well, you know what shouldn't be back. I say it every week. a wild and hairy bush, but make sure you tame your pubes with help from our friends at Manscaped, the leaders in below the waist grooming. The 4th generation performance package. Oh, I lost my place. Performance package includes the brand new lawnmower 4.0. Do right by your balls and join the 2 million men worldwide by signing on to Manscaped, going to manscaped.com with the code A2D for 20% off and free shipping. They are our sponsors for our poll question tonight, which is pretty straightforward. I could have gone several different ways with this, but I wanted to be just simple this week. The Eagles will get their first home win of the season against the Chargers. Agree or disagree, fam? Let us know what you think. We haven't won a home game yet. Is this Sunday the time we're going to get our first home win of the season? We're going to get to that. We're going to preview the Eagles-Chargers game coming up. We're also going to talk about news from around the league. We're going to spend, half of the show talking about a lot of stuff that's been going on around the NFL, and we definitely wanted to hit on it. And then, of course, when the game comes on around 8:20-ish,
8:20,
yeah, we're gonna we'll get that on and we'll give live reactions. Well, we say live. The three of us usually are on a delay compared to you guys, so take that live thing with a grain of salt. But let's do a quick recap. Like we said, guys, agree or disagree to the poll, fam. Comment, let us know. But before we get into that, and before we get into the previews of the Eagles Chargers, I do want to quickly touch on your reactions, guys, from the Eagles win against the Detroit Lions. It was, I think me and you, Pete, we definitely thought we were going to lose that game. I think a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it was the total opposite.
We weren't trying to enter a win, bro.
Yeah, it was a pretty convincing win. So, Jeff, I'm going to go to you first since you've been off for a couple of weeks. Give me your quick thoughts, and your takeaways from that blowout victory against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, definitely. I was somewhat on the fence like you guys. Look, on paper, this was a game that we probably should have won pretty easily like we did, but the way this team has played over the stretch of the first half of the season, there was no guarantee going to this game. And yeah, the Lions were a winless football team, but they were still a fighting team this season. It's not like they've been getting blown out a lot of these games. They lost on a huge 62 NFL record kicking field goal by Justin Tucker against the Ravens. I think they lost a field goal on last second field goal in another game. So the Lions going into this game were definitely a hungry team, and with the mistake that the Eagles were having, it was no guarantee. But look, this past week, I understand it was against an inferior opponent that we probably should have won. But the Eagles clicked. Look, I would say, where was this team all year long? Where was this run-first offense? Where was the offense where we have to rely on Jalen Hurts to be the main focal point of this team's offense to try to make plays, to take the pressure off of him? Where was the pressure and the blitz packages that we saw from Jonathan Gannon this past Sunday, the first half of the year? So everything just clicked. It's one of those things now is how can they adjust going forward? And now that this game plan is out there, how can they continue the success? How can they build upon the confidence level in this victory moving forward? Because yeah, they're playing against some tough teams, but they're not. We're done with the tough stretch of games right now. I feel over the next few weeks, once we start getting these divisional matchups, maybe besides the Cowboys game, we have an opportunity to win a lot of these games. And surprisingly, for how bad we have played, I know I don't want to throw the word out there, but we are currently only one game behind the last playoff spot. So we are just in the thick of things, which if we can get some confidence and get on a roll, who knows what can happen. But I still feel this team they still need to show me that they can consistently play this way rather than before we start talking about the playoffs, though.
Pete,
I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like trending into that game Sunday, we weren't trending in the right direction. They put a game together against an inferior opponent. Yes, the Lions, but I will say this. Am I shocked that they won the game? No. Am I shocked at the fashion that they did win the game? Yes. But I think that goes hand in hand with the way that they played and how much control they had of the game, and then the way that the Lions just kind of just said, take the game. You know what I mean? They kind of just quit. Maybe Dan Campbell's voice is getting sour there already. But like Jeff said, and then we've seen it already, leading into this week's poll question, do we think the Eagles get their first home win this Sunday? I'm like, Tom, I don't know what to expect. Yeah. I don't, and because once again, they're not catching these teams in good spots. Like the Chargers, they got blown out 2 weeks ago, had a bye week, came back and they lost a home game against the Patriots. I mean, now they're coming here. If this game was at 1 o'clock, people think it doesn't make a difference. If this game is at 1 o'clock, I like the Eagles' chances better. But for some godforsaken reason, we have a 4 o'clock home game. I don't know why.
West Coast. Because of the Chargers fan base, they don't want them watching their game at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I would love it. You know how much I would love to watch football at 10 o'clock in the morning and get the rest of my day?
I agree.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like right now, it's just, I'm really up in the air on 50-50. Can they win the game? Yes, they can win the game any given Sunday. Should they win the game based off both teams play their A game? Hell no. They can't. You got Derwin James that can fly all over the field. The defense is still susceptible. Now, the strides that we're making, obviously they released Eric Wilson this week because now Davion Taylor is going to get more prominent time and TJ Edwards is going to get more prominent time. So we see what we can get there. Now, can they stop once again, 30-second Russian defense, right? The Chargers are. Watch we not be able to run the ball. Watch Sirianni go do some stupid shit.
Yeah.
Watch. That's just us. That's the ebb and the flow of the season. Can they win a game? Yes. Should they win the game? I don't see it because once again, I go back to look at the team who has the best quarterback. And it's not like it's close. I mean, anybody out there, Jalen still has a lot to grow, but Justin Herbert has already shown you what he can do. You know what I mean? Now, he does struggle with some zone defenses and some reads, but they got Austin Eckler at the backfield. They got Justin Jackson. They got Mike Williams. They got Keenan Allen. And they got, I'm trying to think. They got Jared Cook. There's another wide receiver I'm missing that's not as prominent, but I think he caught Josh Palmer. He just caught his first touchdown pass this past Sunday. So, I mean, it's one of those, I think it's going to be closer than what we think because that's the one thing I can say. I feel like Sirianni will keep him close, and then Gannon keeps those adjustments that he did against Detroit. But at the same time, you were going against players that were on the outside for Detroit that were practice squad players that are 4th or 5th string guys. These wide receivers and skill position players, like this is probably across the board the next best test that they've had. The secondary is going to have since Dallas in week 3. Because, I mean, you got Tyreek Hill with Kansas City. I get that. You got McCole Harmon. I get that. But just looking at Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, that's the second best wide receiver tandem, maybe the best wide receiver tandem they faced. Well, I mean, really, realistically, and Tampa Bay didn't throw the ball because they didn't have to. They ran the shit out of the ball.
Yep.
Brady could have threw the ball if he wanted to more, but they ran the ball. Even Dallas kind of ran the ball a lot more than what they threw it. So, but as far as just the straight test on the secondary, this is going to be a big test for the secondary. Big test for the secondary.
Yeah, so I know we leaked into kind of like the Chargers talk, but let me reel it back in. So let's talk about let's recap the Lions game. I am I was very surprised to see the manner in which we won that game on both sides of the ball. It's like they finally heard what everyone with a smart football mind to some degree was saying, was just screaming at the team for weeks to run the damn ball and go under center because you can't base your rushing attack off of RPOs only. So I'm very surprised, especially with Miles Sanders out. I thought they would have still leaned heavily on the pass, and based on how they used Gainwell, used him as the lead back, but used him as a receiver a lot. So I did not expect them to go that run heavy. I mean, it was run heavy, like a lot. How many dropbacks did Jalen Hurts have? Like 17?
17.
That's crazy. And I know by the fourth quarter, it was already, locked up. So like that's only through 3 quarters. That's not a full game's
Right.
worth. But still, that's not a lot. So they really ran the ball. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they became more aggressive, which is exactly what not just me, but a lot of people have been saying that, you don't have to become Jim Johnson in terms of blitzing, but you got to be more aggressive with your zones, with your coverages, and with your blitzes and disguising stuff. And they did do that. And TJ Edwards and Davion Taylor had a heck of a game.
Yep.
And they played very, 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 very well. Obviously, other people did too. But in terms of linebackers, we've been screaming for the linebackers to play better, and they did. Granted, it is the Lions, but hey, they did play better, so they get credit regardless of who you play. So I'm not going to take that away from them because we did consider this game to be a loss anyway. So I can't just take away credit for how the Eagles played when I thought they were going to lose. It doesn't work like that. You give them credit, for when they do, and they deserve credit for that. So I was definitely surprised in how they won the game, and it was a very pleasant surprise. I want to see how they do going forward. I want to see if they're going to stick to this type of formula, with every week, every game, because they need to. This is the way you win. You limit the amount of dropbacks that Jalen Hurts has. You get him under center. You use a lot of play action, and you run the ball, and everything starts to flow off of that. That's how this offense is going to be successful. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, I think they're starting to come together. Let's hope that this is a sign of good things to come. And with the, if Davion Taylor and TJ Edwards start to become at least solid, maybe that helps Gannon be more. It enables him to do more with this defense. That enables him to get into different coverages at the second level and everything. So I think that it's encouraging from the sign of it's encouraging, but we need to see more. You know what I mean? We need to see more.
Gotcha. Very well said. Very well said. Consistency, momentum. That's what you need to see. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they have a little bit of it now. This whole one game out of wild card spot. I guess we're just more real in the fact of, and Jeff, I know you've been in Texas for a couple weeks with them Cowboys and that beef, but long term, like what is the point? I want to say, what is the point? You want to see growth, and we're actually starting to see more growth on the defensive side. You know what I mean? And I think on the offensive side, you're taking there, and it's just don't give it away. Like Hurts didn't give it away. Did he miss some things? I know Chucksy pointed out a play that where he left the pocket prematurely and Devontae Smith is open, and now it's hard. You'll probably start hearing, we haven't said it, but you'll probably start hearing some fans say, "Well, is Devontae Smith any good? Did we make the wrong draft pick?" Because you're seeing what Jamar Chase is doing. You know what I mean? And it's just like you don't have the same type of quarterback play that you have out of Joe Burrow versus Jalen Hurts. It's a completely different.
And it's not like we had the choice. Jamar Chase was taken before what
he was taken way before us.
We didn't have a choice. I mean, that was part of the reason why we traded back, because the sentiment and the rumors were that Chase and Pitts were not going to be there. So that's why they traded back.
Right. And it's just ride that momentum. So Jeff, do you think we can ride that momentum into this Sunday? How do you see the game playing out? I know it's hard, but listen, he spoke about the flowers, letting them grow, fertilize. So they kind of fertilized a little bit last Sunday. Does that flower keep sprouting? Do we start to blossom even more?
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb. Look, I understand we don't want to dive or buy too much into this team just yet because, look, it's one game against an inferior opponent, a winless football team like the Detroit Lions. But the way we won that, we won in dominating fashion in pretty much most of the phases of the game. And the fact that they were able to prove Jeffrey Lurie wrong, because remember, Jeffrey Lurie's he was a pass happy offense. He feels that's the only way that you can win in the NFL and score points. This past Sunday, they proved him wrong, that they were able to put up 40 points by mainly having a run-first offense in that game. So going up against a Chargers defense that should be better than what they are with Bosa and James and them. They haven't been playing too well this year. And the fact that Herbert, he's still a solid young quarterback with a lot of weapons at his disposal. He struggled the last couple of weeks against the Patriots, and I think it was the Ravens. So I feel if Jonathan Gannon can come up with a similar game plan and find ways to get pressure, and this was a defensive coordinator a couple of weeks ago that said he doesn't have a dime defense in his playbook. We saw some dime defenses past week. So I think in his eyes, he's like, screw it. I'm just going to throw guys out there. I'm going to have faith in my guys. Hopefully they can execute, and hopefully they can prove me wrong and go out there and make some plays. So I feel the matchup this week is a little bit favorable for the Eagles. The fact that they're at home, the West Coast, the East Coast, I know not a lot of people buy into that, but I feel it's going to be a close one. Do I see the Eagles can lose this game? Absolutely. If we're turning the football over, if we're making penalties and making mistakes, yeah, we could easily lose this football game. But I feel that they're starting to get into that type of groove, and I feel the momentum and the confidence level, and just hearing what players are saying about this week of practice. I feel they can come out on top with this win, and I agree with the poll that the Eagles do get their first win since last December.
Okay, so let's get into that. So you agree to the poll. I disagree to the poll. I think it's going to be like what Pete said. I think it's going to be a close game. I feel like I say that a lot now, but I do think, like, looking at it, I'm going to give the coaches the benefit of the doubt for now, and believe that they're going to stick to what they've been doing in terms of, well, not what they've been doing, what they did last week. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, if they follow that formula, they're going to have success. I think the Chargers are too talented overall, and I think they're the better football team. If this game was at 1 o'clock, then yeah, I factored that travel into it. But the fact that this game is at 4, you can pretty much negate the travel factor, because that's the whole thing. The traveling factor works when the West Coast coming to the East Coast, the West Coast team coming to the East Coast has to play at 1 p.m. because to them it's 10 a.m. But now that it's at 4 p.m., that's not going to matter. So I don't think that the Eagles have enough in them to pull this game out, but I think it's going to be a competitive game. And I just hope that they stick to what they did against Detroit. It's tough because with Brandon Staley's defense, I mean I like so many of those pieces. Pete, you touched on Derwin James. I think when fully healthy, I think Derwin James is the best safety in football. A lot of us wanted Asante Samuel Jr. He's having a good year. The one thing on the outside, they're missing Mike Davis, or probably missing Mike Davis starting outside corner, opposite of Asante. So Chris Harris might have to move to the outside. So that could be a point of weakness for their secondary. But again, obviously they have Joey Bosa. They've got talent on that defense. And Brandon Staley's scheme of what he does, I feel like, because remember, him and Gannon are best friends. So they have a lot of the same philosophies and mindset. That defense, I feel like, is what Gannon wants to do with our defense. That's like the mold, right? And the thing is, the Chargers have the pieces, we don't. So that's what the big difference is. They can change their schemes and their coverages and adjust based on opponents, whereas with the Eagles, it's not so much. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Chargers choose to play us, if they choose to change some stuff around, because they have a weak run defense, but they could try to change things around because they can. And then, with their offense, I know they've struggled. Someone mentioned on here, Justin Herbert's been struggling the past few games, 2 losses in a row. I think that they got in a tough spot against Baltimore and things kind of just snowballed. And I think last week the Patriots definitely mixed some stuff up to confuse Herbert. But at the same time, I don't think that Herbert is going to lay a goose egg on us. I think he's too talented. He's too good. So I think him and the receivers are gonna do really well. I'm interested to see what they're gonna match up because we've got Darius Slay. You would think that he's going to be matched up against the biggest receiver, but they could do several things. So Mike Williams is having a career year so far. He's a bigger wide receiver. Is Slay going to match up against him? Is he going to shadow him? And then obviously Avonte Maddox in the slot. Is he going to be matched up a lot against Keenan Allen? If Darius Slay shadows Mike Williams, I want to see how Gannon chooses to do that. Jared Cook is a good tight end that if you don't check him, he's going to hurt you. Obviously Austin Eckler. There is no running back behind Eckler that worries me. I know Pete, you had mentioned Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson is just someone like he's just a guy. So it's really just Austin Eckler. Pete, we can't hear you. It's really just Austin Eckler out of the backfield. So yeah, I mean those are the guys on offense for the Chargers, and it's going to be interesting to see what Gannon does. But matchup wise, that's what I see. I think just overall on both sides of the ball, they're just too talented, and they have the advantage scheme wise to come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have anything else outside of Justin Jackson. It's just like you said, the X's and O's about it. And then if you feel as if anytime you have a young team that played their best game since week 1, right? So you have 6 weeks in between. And then you have a team that started off hot, had 2 bad losses, still above 500, 4-3. Now they need to find themselves. The Eagles may be that team that you want to see at that point. You know what I mean? And even like Belichick last week with the Patriots, while the defense isn't like talent studded over there, just the technique and the game plan and the experience and how the X and O's, that's way more experience than what we have with Gannon. And now, like you said, and kind of alluded to, Gannon and Staley know each other to the point I think they're like really close friends, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, Gannon and Staley, yeah.
Yeah, they're really close friends. So, I mean, but how does that help? Because even if Gannon can go to Sirianni and say, well, he likes to do this, he likes to do that, he likes to do this, he likes to do that. Did the Colts and Chargers play each other last year? Or did the Colts and Rams play each other last year?
I don't know. I could look it
Look
up.
that up. Talk amongst yourselves.
I don't know if they did last year. They played 2019. I don't think they played last year. I don't see anything. Yeah. No, they played 2019. Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how both teams approach. One thing I wanted to ask you guys. So Jeff, you can answer this first, and then if Pete comes back, we'll see. But they really started to lean on a lot of people were confused because a lot of people, especially in fantasy, expected Gainwell to be the lead guy, but he hardly got any touches. They went with Boston Scott and Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you like it? I mean, it's hard to complain against it because it worked, but what are your thoughts on that? I have my thoughts on that. And do you think that's the formula that should be going forward for the next few games until Miles comes back? And when Miles comes back, how do you think they should be used? So, because now you have Scott and Howard making plays against the Lions on the ground. What does that bode for Gainwell and how he's used? And how is that going to, what's it going to, is it going to be any different when Miles comes back?
As far as not using Gainwell, I think it was more of just the matchups when Sirianni was looking at the game plan and looking at the opponents. The fact that you saw more of the run between the tackles, I kind of feel that he felt that Jordan Howard and Boston Scott with their size is a little bit more suited for that a little bit more ground and pound power back type of role running that offense. So I feel they're going to find ways to get Gainwell involved. The fact that weren't all three of them active this past week.
Yeah, all three were
Yeah,
active.
so I feel he's going to find ways. They're going to find ways to utilize Gainwell's speed and his ability. I wouldn't buy too much into it. Like, look, he didn't get a lot of touches this past week, so they lost faith in him, or they're not going to utilize him much. I feel Sirianni's a very analytic guy, and he goes by matchups. So I think he's going to find ways to, depending on the matchup, to get him involved. As far as Miles, when Miles comes back, I'm hoping they somewhat use a similar role and try not to focus mainly on him. I kind of feel this three-headed monster or more change of pace back type of role with Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, and Gainwell is very effective, especially to keep Miles a little bit more fresh in these games. And the fact that he is coming off an injury now. So I definitely, of course, Sanders is still going to be the prominent guy. He's going to still be your starter, but I do like the thought of them utilizing some of these other backs more effectively and more in their offense. There's a reason why you kept three running backs and then brought Howard up on the practice or from the practice squad, or kept him on the practice squad when you did. So they obviously feel that all four of these guys can play, and that, like I said, depending on the matchups, they're going to find ways to fit their roles effectively.
I think, and I've been saying, and online, we've gotten like so many, like not so many. I won't say so many, but there are your fair share of fans, that always believe that the backup quarterback is the best, and they're always going to believe the backup running back is the best. Like, so the moment we drafted Gainwell, they were ready to trade Miles and say, "Oh, Gainwell's already better. He's better than Miles," because Gainwell was having success in scoring touchdowns while Miles wasn't. But the context of it all was that Gainwell was getting a lot of work as a receiver, which he should have, because he's probably the best receiver on the team out of that running back group. Yep. Whereas as a runner, a lot of those big runs or touchdowns came against lighter boxes, on those zone read plays. So of course he's going to get a good amount of yards. I think that when you really look at Gainwell and him running the ball, and I've said this all year, there are definitely points where he shows that he's a rookie.
Right.
He's patient. He doesn't always have the proper path or footwork, and he's got to develop that. Now, I'm not saying he won't. I do believe that he will, but he's a rookie. I mean, even Miles, he struggled mightily his rookie year when it came to running between the tackles. He would always bounce everything, but he's a rookie. So right. Gainwell, none of this is really that surprising, and you could see it when he was his 1 year in Memphis when he was successful. Even then, he kind of showed those things as a runner. His forte was as a receiver and as a dual threat. So when they decided to go with Scott and Howard because of the game plan where they're going to go run heavy, I was not one bit surprised. I was like, that's smart, because you're going with veterans who know how to execute these run designs. And it showed. I did a phone breakdown that was published on A2D socials and on my YouTube. And you see them executing these run designs so well. They are patient. They know where to be. Their footwork is right. And they're hitting the hole very, very hard. Howard is what he is. He's a powerful downhill runner, and he gets north-south. Boston Scott showed really good footwork, patient to the hole, quick through the hole. That's what they teach you as a running back. Slow to the hole, fast through it. And we saw that repeatedly against the Lions from Scott. And, we all agree. Scott he's not like this special talent or anything, but he's shown that he's a good running back. He's a solid running back for us. And the fact that they went with two veterans who know how to execute these plays, because that was going to be the focus of the offense, I thought was the right decision to make. And the reason why you need to pump the brakes on Gainwell a little bit and say, hey, like, he's still a rookie, he's still learning, and don't get ahead of yourselves when it comes to not just Gainwell, to any rookie. So I was pleasantly surprised to see them used. I think that when Miles comes back, I do agree with you, Jeff. I think that Miles needs to be the lead still because when you compare him to everyone else, Miles is still the most talented. Anytime he touches the ball, he can take it to the house. And we've seen that. Like when Miles gets touches, he makes plays. He just makes plays no matter what. And touchdown, Colts. Nyheim Hines. See, I think Gainwell will be Nyheim Hines. He will be Austin Eckler. It's just going to take a little bit of time. But yeah, Miles is the most talented running back we have. I think it's clear cut. But I do believe that it would be wise to still use a few of these guys, Gainwell, Scott, and Howard, in certain spots, just so you can keep Miles healthy. Keep him to 10 to 15 touches a game and give all the rest of the touches, split them amongst the three of them. Gainwell, Scott, and Howard, however you want to be. It's just going to be I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to keep 4 running backs active?
Right.
No, that's the big question. I don't know if they can keep 4 running backs active. Are they going to put one, bring Howard down to the practice squad again? He can only be elevated from the practice squad one more time. And, with all these injuries, Derrick Henry and everything, who knows? Maybe someone could poach him. The Titans, who's to say the Titans wouldn't poach him from us off our practice squad because they need, I know they signed Adrian Peterson, but they could probably use with Henry out. They could probably use Howard if they needed to. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do that with those 3. But yeah, I think Miles still should be the lead guy, but start using those other ones to keep Miles fresh.
Definitely.
Pete, any thoughts to the running back situation? Or
I mean, it's hard to me with the running backs. You have to look at it like this is week 1. This is the start. This is the start of the season for the running backs because this was the most consistent, the most effective we've seen them run a game since week 1 and went away from it. So, like you said a lot of good points where he trusted the running backs, the veteran running backs, to see hole, hit hole. Obviously, Jordan Howard, who we think Howard and Sanders should have been the backs from the rip, and then use Gainwell as a split back. Boston Scott, coming into the season, we thought was going to be the odd man out. But when you have Sanders go down, Boston Scott can give you a little bit more, something similar to Gainwell, but a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit more stout to do those inside tackle runs and those stretch zone run plays. But Jordan Howard has a place in this running back rotation. He should have had it from the rip. I don't know why he wasn't there, but he's there. But it's a lot of things with this team.
He wasn't there. He wasn't active because they didn't run the ball. Plain and simple. He wasn't active because they're like, we're not going to use it.
That's true. And that's kind of where it's like they just last week, this past Sunday, set the table on everything.
Yeah.
You reset the table on everything. The season, not expectations for the season, but it was that let's go back to square one. Let's find out what this team is. And if they run the ball, they be consistent the same way. If Jalen Hurts has less than 25 pass attempts, that means they ran the ball. They were very balanced. That is the identity of this team where you're going to maximize this offense, in my opinion, because guess what happened? Landon Dickerson was a road grader. The offensive line as a whole was road grading the Detroit defensive line. They want to get upfield. You didn't see any of these penalties where he had to sit there and say, illegal man upfield, because guess what? It wasn't an RPO. It was a straight handoff. You know what I mean? Yep. So when you only have Jalen Hurts need to make maybe 10 or 12, 13 quality completions during the game, and you still put up 44, obviously your defense helped. They gave you 7. You know what I mean? So can they get that same performance? And that's kind of where I'm at. As far as the talent in the running back group, is it enough talent? Yes. Nobody's overtaking Miles, like you said, for right, wrong, or indifferent. They don't have that yet. They're not the Cleveland Browns where they can lose Chubb, they can lose Kareem Hunt, and have Dearness Johnson go off for 150. It's a completely different mentality there. They had that commitment to the run. Your running back room is not the same. Okay, so Miles, does he frustrate us at times? Yes, but at the same time, Miles still doesn't have a lot of wear on his body because Doug didn't run it inconsistently, and Nick up until this point he hasn't run it consistently at all.
And he wasn't used at Penn State. He got one season.
Penn State
as the starter. because
He has
was
a
being
lot. He has a
unfaithful.
lot of tread left on those tires, man.
Yeah.
A lot of tread left on those tires. So I want to just take the time, get healthy, and see him when he comes back. Because I think after this game, we have Broncos next week in Denver, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
I
Correct.
think so.
And then is it the Saints?
The Saints, and then the road game against the Giants, and then the road game against the Jets the first week of December.
So I mean, the Saints game, it's in New Orleans, right? Or is it here?
It's here.
Oh, we better win that. I swear to God.
I
hate
can't,
the Saints.
bro.
No
Like
team is-
I hate the Saints. You better win
the Saints remind me of the Saints remind me of Cobra Kai, bitch. That's what they remind me of. Right. They remind me of the Cobra Kai dojo. And Sean Payton is the leader, bitch. That's
God.
legit. Like they always feel themselves to the point where, I mean, don't get me wrong. Would I love to be a Saint, because I feel like their camaraderie, their chemistry, and their brotherhood as a team is unrivaled. You know what I mean? Yes, but to watch it and to see it, I can't stand the shit.
I can't stand them.
I
The
can't.
only thing I like about the Saints, one is Kamara and Ingram. They traded for Ingram, and Ingram and Kamara were like, they were a great 1-2 duo. One of my favorite to watch. So I was kind of happy to see them together. But them and their all white alternates, because they look like the White Ranger Power Ranger uniform. That's why I like it. Literally, it looks like a football uniform version of the White Tiger Power Ranger design. It literally does. You go put them side by side, and it literally looks like it. So that's what's so cool about them. But everything else, I can't stand the Saints. I hate the Saints more than I hate the Washington football team. I cannot stand the New Orleans Saints.
And I feel like we play these bitches every year now, bro.
Right? Like,
are we in the NFC South by proxy or something? Like, what's going on?
That's the way the rotation is. The rotation, and then depending where we fall in our divisions.
Yeah. It's just, I guess it's just dumb luck that we seem to face them all the time. Even in the playoffs, like we've seen them in the playoffs a good amount.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we beat them last year in the regular season. The year before that, we lost. I think we played in the regular season. Obviously, the Alshon drop.
Alshon drop. The 2013 wild card game lost. 2006.
Riley Cooper catch the fucking ball, bitch.
Yeah. 2006 divisional game. Eagles with the one with Jeff Garcia. Lost that in New Orleans. Oh God, that was a heartbreaking one for me. So yeah, we've had some really painful losses in the playoffs to the Saints. It's a big reason why I hate them. But yeah, good discussion, good Eagles discussion, fam. If you're tuning in, if you're listening to us, keep it going. Let us know what you think of the poll. Are the Eagles going to beat the Chargers? Let us know. But we are now going to get into. We're about halfway through our show. We're gonna keep it rolling until like 9:30 tonight, and we want to get into NFL talk. All right. I want to talk about. Let's see. What's the first talk? I want to talk about first. What the heck is wrong with the Chiefs? All right, we haven't talked about them. We've let it simmer a little bit. Now we're almost at next week. Will be about halfway through the season, but I think it's time to talk about them because I know they just beat the Giants, but they barely beat the Giants, and we know how bad the Giants are. What is wrong with the Chiefs? What are your thoughts? Can they turn this around still and make the playoffs and make some noise in the playoffs? Or are they on the outside looking in? Is the Super Bowl curse for the Super Bowl loser really a thing? And is it going to really affect even the Chiefs? Even as a team as mighty as the Chiefs, is it going to get them too? Pete, what is wrong with the Kansas City Chiefs?
Some of it's on Pat, man. Some of it's on Mahomes. He's just not seeing it, and he's not making the reads. He's not trusting his line the same way he was last year. There are plays to be made that he's just not making. Did it work enough to beat the Giants, like you said? Yes. But it hasn't worked enough to beat other teams, and it's really thrown them out of games. Some of it's Spagnuolo's defensive approach as well. And playing, I wouldn't say he's playing too aggressive, thinking he has the same offense from last year, which he really doesn't, so that's kind of where you see that at. But ultimately, I think it really comes down to tape, game tape, bro. Like that's what we talk when we talk about Washington's defense. Why are they not successful? Obviously, poor safety play, poor linebacker play. They just don't have it. But a lot of it as well is tape. It's tape. You just build around this is tape. When you see that and they're figuring out ways to try to attack, they're giving Tyreek Hill and they're seeing, like Pat Mahomes said it after Monday night, we're not seeing as many single high safety looks as we were in the past previous years. So we're seeing 2 high safety looks. So I don't have the deep ball like that. So they're making him be patient, and he doesn't want to fucking be patient. You see what I'm saying? Like he doesn't want to take up until this point. He's not taking what's given to them, what's being given to them. And this is also on Andy. Now, Andy, he needs to make an adjustment. Maybe now you, instead of running Tyreek with the deep crosser, maybe you want to run Tyreek on a go route, run Gordon on a crosser. I haven't even heard his name, or run McCole Hartman on a crosser, but you need to get 2 burners on one side of the formation and run 2 different routes to make that safety make a decision. You see what I'm saying? Like if you look at Travis Kelce, right? Travis Kelce, what's the one thing about Gronk that he does really well? He runs the seam route. I haven't seen Travis Kelce run a seam route. He runs crossers and outs and slants. He doesn't run a seam route. They need to do stuff like that to make that safety make a decision. If their aspirations are making it to the playoffs and being on that same level of standard of Kansas City Chiefs football that we've seen in the past, that's what's going to happen. And they just need to get better on defense. They did make a trade. They got Melvin Ingram from the Steelers. So now you got Frank Clark, Chris Jones, and Melvin Ingram all on the same defensive line. I like what I've seen out of Nick Bolton, but the corners are trash, and that's how Tyrann Mathieu can't be everywhere in the secondary. He can't. He can't do it. And Steve Spagnuolo needs to coach like that. He needs to coach to keep his defense. They don't need to be shut down, but they need to be bend but don't break and keep them in the game just in case if the offense isn't clicking. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire going down, that hurt them because I think they finally started to commit to the run somewhat, and they try to do it with Williams. But like you said, backups are backups for a reason. Backups are backups for a reason. I do think at some point during this season, or even last year, Andy Reid thought to himself and said, "Listen, but I wish I still had Kareem Hunt."
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure even Kansas City Chiefs brass said, "I wish we still had Kareem Hunt."
Yep. Yeah. Yep. I think that everything you said, like in terms of the offense, like Patrick Mahomes, in terms of his discipline in the pocket, he looks like Jalen Hurts. He looks like Jalen Hurts. It's a mess.
Bailing early.
Bailing the pocket early. And, I'm sure you heard it too, Pete, on Tapehead's podcast. Dan Orlovsky, he made a bold statement, and he said Patrick Mahomes mechanically is the worst quarterback in the league right now in terms of quarterback mechanics.
All this shit.
Yeah, all the unnecessary stuff.
It's PSA real quick, Church. PSA, bro. Lamar, let me try to think. Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. All this talent shit is cool for a hot 3 to 4 years. That's what you got. There's a motherfucker down in Tampa Bay that's been a damn robot for 20 years. Yeah. There's been kids who've been born, they went through all school. It's in their senior year in college about to graduate. And this dude's still been striping it.
Stuff like that, all like the fancy stuff, being able to throw from different platforms, different arm angles, and like being able to have the arm talent to throw which ball you want to throw is awesome to use when you need to use it. Mm-hmm. But when you don't have to, you shouldn't be doing that, because if you rely on that, it's going to get you in trouble more often than not, because when you have to make the basic throws, you need to rely on your fundamentals. You need to rely on fundamentals, and mechanics is part of it. And when you're that sloppy and you're that undisciplined in the pocket, you're part of the problem. And Mahomes, he has all the talent in the world to be the most talented quarterback to ever play the game, but he has to get back to the basics. To add to that, Andy Reid needs to get his head out of his
Spagnuolo, bro.
And he has got to run the ball. You said it. They're playing defenses are playing a lot of cover 2, cover 4, 2 high shells against them. So what is the thing I've been saying about the Eagles defense? About them, or we've all been saying about the Eagles defense, them playing a lot of 2 high shells. Well, that invites the run.
Yep.
So if
Light
you're
box,
the
man.
Chiefs, if defense are playing that against you, you have to run the ball. You have to run the ball. Now I get it. Clyde isn't there. So you're limited on what you have talent-wise. But at the same time, you do not need to have a dominant run game to make play action effective. So run the ball, and even if it's not as successful as you'd like it to be, you need to use that to set up play action. You need to get back to the basics of football. So that, to me, there's a lot of stuff you can go into, but I think those are the top 2 things that when you talk about the Chiefs and what's wrong with them, I think the offense is the more glaring problem
Right.
now with the Chiefs than the defense. I think the defense is trending up. I think they're and you, like you said, they got Melvin Ingram, so I think they're trending up. So how crazy is it that we're saying this, that the Chiefs offense is more of an issue than the Chiefs defense? But that's just how it is. I don't know, Jeff.
Yeah, I agree with all the sentiments that you guys are saying. Coaching, mechanics, execution. Also, you have to think about it. Like, look, the level of competition has gone up in the AFC and in their division. Teams are building their teams up. They've been most of that division's been picking at the top end of the draft over the past couple of years. They're getting top tier talent, and the talent overhaul on the Chiefs squad is they've lost a couple of key players over the past couple of years that have been contributors on that team, especially that Super Bowl run. So you look at the Chargers, they get Justin Herbert. They finally got their franchise quarterback in their eyes. You have the Denver, who has a solid defense. Yeah, they're without a quarterback, but they still have a decent football team. You have the Raiders with Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, and those guys. So definitely within that division, you're having a lot more high-level competition, in my opinion, also that are causing the Chiefs some fit. They're not able to run away with this division anymore and get those 5-6 wins just within the division alone, plus beat other competition. So it's difficult to stay at the top in the NFL. We see it year after year. Very few teams, very few organizations are top end of the NFL year in and year out. This ain't college football. This ain't where you're usually typically having Georgia and Alabama, a lot of the SEC teams at the top end of college football year in, year out because of recruiting. It's more difficult in the NFL. So I kind of feel that the NFL, the teams are starting to catch up to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs it's difficult for them to adjust to it, especially since they're a little strapped with cap. They've been drafting towards the tail end of the draft the past couple of years since they've been in competition. So they're not getting a lot of that top tier talent. So it's definitely abundance of things. So I do feel they'll be safe. I do have faith in Patrick Mahomes to fix some things and fix that offense, get back rolling, and they'll still be in contention in the AFC. It's just gonna be a matter of time. And Andy, like you guys said, needs to get his head out of his butt and start leading this team back to winning.
And just to add to that, this is right around the time where we kind of had that law, right? Look at it. Andy Reid got here, 99?
Yeah.
2007 I say 2008, obviously NFC Championship game against the Cardinals. Caught lightning in a bottle there. But 2009 to 2010, obviously had 2010 Mike Vick also breathed new life into the Eagles. But then after that, 11, 12, that was kind of the end, right?
Yeah.
He's been there. This is his ninth season there in Kansas City.
Hard to believe.
You know what I mean? So it's just these things, you get complacent and it's, and like you said, Chucks, it's really it's easier for the offense to get right because that's where most of the talent is on the team, right? And just realize that, listen, we don't have to score fast. We can put these drives together. Andy can put an offense together like that. Fuck, he had to do it for the first 6 years when he was the Eagles head coach, when he had no talent on the outside. How was their offense? Running the ball, tight ends, occasional deep shot, 10, 12, 15 play drives. That's what he had to do. And just because you got a horse and you got a Ferrari like that, now you need to bring it back in. And then once the other shit opens up, run some screens. He's trying to do it, but it's just. But like Jeff made a very good point. You couldn't expect these teams to stay stagnant long. This isn't the early 2000s NFC East, Andy. Like, this is the AFC West. Talent is there. You're not going to be able to get that lucky and get those, like Jeff said, 5 or 6 wins, so you can get the 10, 11 wins every year. And then not only that, they may be the third or fourth best team in the conference. But you got to put Buffalo. I mean, you would have put Tennessee above them if they still had Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you got to see how they do without Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you got to say Baltimore. Yeah. I mean, you probably got to say
Bengals.
Bengals is an argument. Raiders is an argument. Obviously, we don't know now what they're going to be on the field, dealing with their off the field situations. But kind of that's where they're going to be at, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. All right. Next thing I want to talk about. Then after I bring this topic up, if you guys have anything you want to talk about, you can. But I'm assuming you guys have seen, I know Pete, you said you did.
Mm-hmm.
OBJ, or not OBJ, his father.
It's OBJ Senior.
OBJ's father, yeah. So OB Senior, OBS, posted a thing on Instagram a few days ago showing it's an 11-minute long video, right? It's like 11 or 14 minutes long. It's long. About breaking down all of the reps where Baker Mayfield has either missed or hasn't thrown to OBJ, and OBJ is wide open. And now it's this whole thing. OBJ has been excused from practice 2 days in a row. It looks like that's going to be a really bad end to that marriage. So there are a lot of people online with opinions on it. Some people think that OBJ is a diva and that, he is washed and not talented anymore and isn't worth the trouble. And there are others who think that OBJ has a point. And his father, well, not OBJ himself, but that OB Senior has a point. And that OBJ is open and is still getting open consistently, but Baker's not throwing it to him. So what side are you guys on? Or what are your thoughts on the whole situation? The trade deadline passed and he wasn't moved, which really surprised me considering now the Browns can't get anything for him right now if they tried. Where are you at? What are your thoughts on that? Either one of you can start.
Go ahead, Jeff, if you're ready.
Look, I would say, is his dad probably right? Yeah, look, Baker hasn't played too terribly well this year. He's played okay. Yeah, he's probably missing OBJ on numerous occasions, but the fact that he openly said that he's deliberately missing him, I don't buy into that. Look, if Baker Mayfield wants to make a play and if he feels that OBJ is open enough that where he can fit the ball, I kind of feel Baker is going to try and make that play. He's not trying to exclude OBJ out of the offense or out of the game plan or whatever beef that OBJ's father thinks they have. But another thing, look, family members, parents, whoever, friends, they need to stay out of football operation. They need to stay out of things like this. All it does is hurt the player. OBJ already has a chip on his shoulder for, like you said, being a diva and being a guy that is basically a little bit of a TO where it's nothing but drama. The fact that now you have your dad getting involved and fighting your battles for you, it's a bad look on him. So, like, OBJ needs to be a man. I don't know. I didn't see anything if he came out and, like, said anything about his dad or about the video at all, but OBJ needs to be a man and say, Dad, stay out of it. Let me handle it. It's my livelihood. So, and now the fact that they can't even get anything for him and they were trying to trade him, obviously that marriage, like you said, Chucks, is probably over. Now this is a bad look on him with the rest of the league. No one wants to deal with a dad or a father making crap like this on social media about one of their players and causing more drama in a locker room. So look, like I said, he might have a point that, like, Baker's not getting the ball, or there's probably plenty of plays where OBJ's open, but just keep your mouth shut. Let the organization, let the players handle it. OBJ's an adult. He can handle his own battles.
Jake's comment here is something that a lot of people have assumed. They say that we've seen Colts touchdown, Jonathan Taylor. This is an offensive battle. Holy crap. 14-7. Well, got to kick the extra point, but Colts look like they're going to go ahead 14-7. 13-24 left in the second quarter still. So this is starting a wide open football game. But anyways, Jake says we've seen it the past few years that the Browns offense operates better without Odell. Him and Baker just can't get the chemistry down. I agree with the latter part of his statement. I don't agree with the first part. I think people see that their offense started to work better after OBJ went down last season, and they assume that the offense was clicking because OBJ was out. That's not true. I think that it's tough to get into that trap and assume that, because when it's not tough, it's easy to get into that mindset and assume that. But the truth is, Baker was just starting to throw the ball downfield after OBJ left. Why? We don't know. But he started turning loose because maybe he felt like he had to. But just because OBJ was out there doesn't mean the offense was better. There's a phrase, I forget what we call it, but like something doesn't equal causality. I forget what it's called. I'm sorry I brought it up, but I don't even have the whole phrase at handy. But like, just because one thing happens doesn't mean that's the cause of the outcome. Is pretty much what the meaning is. And so I think that anyone who says OBJ is washed and doesn't have it anymore, I think they're going off of stats. They're watching the stats. They're looking at fantasy football. They see that OBJ isn't producing, and they're assuming he can't play anymore. The film shows otherwise, because just as his father showed, OBJ gets open. OBJ is still explosive. One of the most explosive wide receivers in the game still. He gets open plenty of times, but Baker doesn't see him. And I'm not going to excuse Baker from that. That's on Baker. Baker doesn't if Baker's not seeing him, that is on Baker. That's Baker's fault. That is on Baker Mayfield. And so I was upset that the Browns didn't trade OBJ. I felt like they should have traded OBJ because they're not using him. You know, and they still have talent. They have the young kid, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's a good receiver, a good young receiver. He's got talent. He's got potential. And they still have Jarvis Landry, obviously. So it's not like they don't have talent out of it. And it's not like
Rashard Higgins.
So it's not like they can't be successful without OBJ. So it didn't make sense to me that they didn't trade him. You know, especially seeing what's going on now. Like, you should have just traded him. You should have just traded him. You're not going to use him. Just trade him. I think what you said, though, Jeff, is a very good point. The fact that you can't have – when your dad is causing these waves, that's the problem. You know, like we kind of had a similar type of situation. Remember with Deshaun Jackson's dad early in his career, how he would kind of interfere with stuff like that. And it's not a good look. And I think that it's funny because the football fan in me appreciates what he did and showed the tape breakdown, because I'm like, yeah, like he's showing what all of us who've been watching tape have been saying. Like, he gets open. So
no quarterback for the Jets.
Yeah, Josh Johnson is in at quarterback. It looks like White did hurt his hand in the previous possession, so that's a big turn. Yeah.
Damn, I should have picked the Colts for my survivor pool.
I picked the Colts as part of my parlay, so they were one of my locks tonight. So, anyways, I like that he posted that because it's great film to show that OBJ still has it. But at the same time, if I'm a fan of the team, or if I'm if I'm part of that organization, you don't want that kind of stuff getting out. You really don't. So I see.
And that's my feelings on the Chucks, where I feel like I'm kind of right in the middle of both of you guys. Like, and I'm also Bev White, B White. Shout out, thank you for rocking with us. Thank you to all the fans, all the fans rocking with us tonight. Keep your comments rolling in. Odell is a bit of a headache. So this is my thing. Odell Sr. doesn't do that if Odell Jr. doesn't tell him to do that. He just didn't do that and break the film down like it's the first time he's heard it or seen it. You see what I'm saying? So where washed, right? I don't agree that he's washed. Is he being misused? Yes, it's obvious from the tape. He's open. They're not getting the ball. Also, to your point, is he washed compared to what they said that Odell, the offense ran better last year without him? I don't think that's it either. Baker just played better when he went down, and Baker's not playing well right now. It's as simple as that. He's not playing well. So what's happening is you're seeing in this microcosm to where Odell's like, you know what? I need to get out of here because I'm just not being used here right now. And that's the thing. What saddens me sometimes about the NFL is the fact that trades don't happen because money here doesn't move. So it's not very incentivized for a team to trade for somebody like Odell, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that, you see teams like the Saints who definitely could use him because Michael Thomas is out for the year.
Packers.
Packers.
Oh, I'd love to see them in the Packers.
Steelers. Chiefs. I mean, I'm trying to think of another team. Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They just lost a certain someone.
You see Las Vegas. I'm trying to think. San Fran could use him.
San Fran could use
because
him.
obviously for whatever reason Ayuk is just not panning out there, and they need.
He's actually playing better the last few weeks. He got like 7.
He's been on my bench, so I have it in.
Yeah, he's been.
I want him to play well.
Film, if you watch the actual games like with the San Fran, like he's getting like the snaps have always been there. He plays like 90% of the snaps. He just the targets haven't been there, but the targets over the past couple of games have been ticking upwards. So I think you're going to start to see more production out of Ayuk going forward. It was a matter of like patience with him. You have to be patient. But yeah, tangent. Anyway.
No, but that's like the Odell situation. It's just it's one of those things like they traded for him, and this the other thing. His contract is ridiculous. So that's where it's like, and for teams during the trade deadline to want to trade for him, they know. Is that a fumble?
That's a fumble.
Yep.
They don't know if can we use this dude? I mean, hell, Von Miller only got a 2 and a 3, and the teams that wanted to trade for Odell, they're sitting there saying like, listen, we don't want that contract, right? A lot of times in the NFL, other teams force the hand. They force you to let the person go because if he's being that much of a headache, then you can hold on to him. Like the very odd situation is the one with Deshaun. The Texans are not budging. They're not just going to release the dude. They want to try to get something from him. Where the Browns are not incentivized to keep Odell on there. I'm not sure what the structure of his contract is moving forward, but they may have to eat some dead cat. You know what I mean? But it's like you got to do it because obviously he's becoming a problem in the locker room. He's getting his dad involved, not just getting his dad involved with saying one comment. Hell, he had him fucking break down a 10-minute long plus video.
Yeah.
Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, Exhibit D, E, F, and just keep on going.
4 games. I mean,
it's to show like, look, my son is open. This dude is just not getting you the ball for whatever reason, and it could be partly true what Jake says about the chemistry, but it also could be partly true that this Baker is not playing well, and for whatever reason he doesn't see him. But I'll put it like this: they both played last week, right? Odell and Jarvis. Jarvis had fucking 10 targets. 10 targets.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. And the one thing I never understood was, we know Jarvis is good in the slot because he can't play on the outside. You know Odell can play on the outside. Why you ain't never put his ass in the slot? Never. Stefanski, what are you doing? Put him in the slot. You missed Jarvis for like 4 or 5 games. Odell could have got run in the slot.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where
He's the
they
field
need to walk
stretcher.
away from each other. It needs to be a mutual partnership, a mutual
He's-
breakup.
He's the field stretcher there. So like a lot of what he doesn't come up on the box score because he stretches the field for that offense, which opens stuff underneath. But they don't target him downfield. They don't look downfield to him for some reason. You know, and that's to me that's a lot is on Baker. So Mally Mal.
Molly Molly.
It's what's funny is I can't even show you guys if you want it. I have a tweet queued up. I saved in my drafts. I was planning on posting it tomorrow. And I drew it up early today. I'm gonna tweet it out tomorrow. I essentially said the same thing. Like I said here, I'll read it out loud here for you guys, and then I'll get it out there tomorrow. But I said, remember when people forgot how good Randy Moss was while he was with the Raiders? Then he got traded to the Patriots, and Brady was actually able and willing to throw to him, and we saw Moss was still amazing. I feel like something similar could happen with OBJ. I really do believe that. I want to see him go to a team that will use him. I do, and I'm putting aside the drama with his dad. Like I get it. If I know that Giants fans have a bad taste in their mouth because they feel like he's a diva. He's a lot to deal with, and I get it. I know there's baggage with him. He's over emotional and stuff like that. So I get that there's baggage, but simply from a talent standpoint, I mean, you could argue with Moss. There was baggage with Moss. Moss wasn't always playing to like 100%. He wasn't always giving his all every single game, and that rubbed people the wrong way. So you could argue there was baggage with Moss, but I get that there's baggage with OBJ. I want to see him with a team that will use him because I feel like he is still very, very talented. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that he's elite.
Right.
I'm not going to go out and say that, but talent-wise, he's still one of the most talented wide receivers, in my opinion, that there still is. Like top 10, top 15 receiver, but he's getting used and getting production like he's one of the worst. He's barely getting anything. So it's a shame. It's a shame. You guys, if you have any additional thoughts on OBJ, or we've got about 15 minutes left. What other stuff around the league did you want to touch on? I know there were a bunch of trades. The big trade with Von Miller to the Rams, if you want to talk about that. Anything else? Up to you guys.
I mean, the trade for Von Miller was a win-win. I mean, would I like Odell here? Yeah, because I don't think we have a wide receiver that fits that criteria. But would he come here? No, I think he's looking for a contender, and he wants to go to a team that has a decent QB situation. Especially if he has his pick. Now I don't even know if the Saints are attractive at that point. Then
I don't even
situation.
I don't even think with OBJ to consider him here. It's not the right time because again the QB situation is on flux. We're in a transition mode where we need to figure out what our young players are, and we need to figure out who's our quarterback of the future. If you were to tell me this offseason, if we made moves where we traded assets and got Russell Wilson somehow, right? And then we were
going to give up two of those two of the three.
Yes. So like say we gave up two of those three first rounds, got Russell Wilson, and we used a first round pick on say either Thibodeau or Stingley, one of them, defensive stalwart, right? That now we're rolling, we're cooking, we have a good off season and everything like that. If we were to do that, then I think an OBJ is more so an attractive piece to add. But right now, I don't think, we're the right team for that. So, anyways, anything else? Other news?
No, I mean, might as well spend the last 10 minutes and get into it.
Ruggs.
Yeah, it's sad situation all around. I think the victim's name was Trisha Tintero, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
23 years old from Las Vegas, and it's just what was troubling to me is what was the loaded gun in the car for? Like where were you coming from? where like I said this to my boy, and this is kind of tongue in cheek. You could take the kid from Alabama, but you can't take the Alabama out of the kid. And it's kind of maybe where he grew up at. Guns was just a thing. I understand you move, there may be a lot of people that may sit there and say, hey, I need to protect myself, this, that, and the third. Don't put yourself in that situation. To me, in this situation, it's 2 lives lost because his life will never, ever be the same. Life is lost. The life of a pet is lost. And a family lost a loved one. And I mean, Henry Ruggs' family, his football family, his actual blood family, his friends, they had to support this guy. Like they have to be there for him. That's the one thing that we don't say. I'm not saying that condoning anything that he did, but there's 2 sides to it. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and now he has to live with that for the rest of his life. We've heard that there's video out there to where she was alive after the initial impact and burned alive in the car, and he's sitting on the curb. I mean, we can't sit there and say like, could he have ran and done something? But he blew a 1.61. You know what I mean? He blew a 1.61. So it's one of those things to where like it's just an unfortunate situation. It's a true tragedy all the way around. People just need to make better decisions. The NFL literally needs to start promoting this car service and making it normal speak and regular SOP for teams to say, hey, listen, if you guys are going to go out, this is the car service phone number. You know what I mean? And it's one of the states that I would assume has the strictest laws against DUIs because this is probably something they deal with on a regular basis. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So 2 to 20 years mandatory, or that's what it is for DUI resulting in injury or death. So he probably most likely going to do some jail time. His pockets ain't deep enough to get him out of it all the way. And that's just the criminal stuff. I'm talking about the civil suit. I mean, it's none of that's going to bring this girl back. I don't know if it was a stop sign, was it a traffic light involved? We don't have any of that information because it looks like she was going one direction, he was coming the other direction. I don't know why. I don't know. It's unfortunate, and I wish take the fucking football out of it. It's just a tragedy. You know what I mean? It's a tragedy all the way around. And I don't know. Would me, you, or Jeff, from our walk of life, from our stance, would we put ourselves in jeopardy? Would we put our future in jeopardy like that to that extent? You know what I mean? Because we feel as if we have a lot more to lose, and we definitely don't make nowhere near as fucking much money as he does, and probably never will. And he's only been in the league 2 years. You see what I'm saying? So, what is it about the mentality that with these football players that they do these things and they feel like they may be above reprieve?
I don't know.
Chris Glover says, you guys see Adam Anderson from Georgia was just suspended indefinitely for a felony rape charge. No, I did not see that.
Yeah. I don't know.
What is he? Is he a corner or somebody?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who he is. I don't follow college.
I'm looking it up right now.
So, yeah.
Linebacker.
You're the linebacker. Okay.
He's a rape allegation.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, probably nobody want to touch him in the first round, but they'll get more details.
Jeff, thoughts?
Yeah, like Pete said, it sucks. It's an unfortunate situation, and like you said, you have to live with the consequences of things like this, and it's just concerning, and it's heartbreaking on both sides because someone just lost their loved one for something that easily could be avoided. Most DUIs are pretty much 100% avoided, especially with today's. I know Pete brought up about the service and all that, but there's Uber, there's Lyft, there's all these new avenues then that we have now from what we had 10, 15 years ago. There's so many different ways where you should not be driving drunk. And I understand he's a young kid. He's young kids. They don't have the mentality of a responsible adult. A lot of these times, he's a young, 22, 23.
22.
He's in his mind. Nothing's gonna bad happen to me, or I don't know if he's trying to show off to his girl or what. But now he has to live with the consequences the rest of his life, and his decision making ultimately ended someone's life, and now his career pretty much over. I understand people are like, oh well, look at Dante Stallworth. He had DUI manslaughter. He only had 30 days in jail, and he came back in the league afterwards. It's a completely different situation. And then now that the way the NFL is trying to crack down on these circumstances and these players thinking that they are above the law and that nothing's going to happen to them and things like that, even more so that Roger Goodell and the office is going to crack down before he ever sees the light of day of playing the NFL again. So it's unfortunate. He had everything in the palm of his hands. He was making millions. He was a star wide receiver in the NFL. He still had his whole life ahead of him. Now, who knows what he's going to be doing once he's out of jail? And it's just unfortunate because the NFL has programs. They have, when these rookies enter the NFL before they go to the draft, they have former players talk to them and like, look, you have to be responsible now. You're in a different environment now, and they have all these seminars to try to prevent things like this. But ultimately, these players have to be ones to listen. They have to be the ones that take what these former players are saying to heart and take it into them before they make these type of decisions. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't, and things like this happen.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. You guys nailed it on the head. It's really a shame. I can't even fathom the image of her burning in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's such a disturbing thought. And his decision to do what he did.
Right.
And it goes, I'm now, because you guys touched on a lot of this case, you know, and I don't have much to add because you hit, like I said, you guys are spot on. But let me also try to look at it from a macro point of view. What is it about this league where these players are there's so many of these players that make decisions like these. So many of these instances like Henry Ruggs. And my friend brought it up in one of our group chats that like it's really unfortunate, but this isn't anything new. This is nothing new with this league. And like it's disturbing and it's maddening because he was making the argument that at some point like he can't ignore it, and it gets him to the point where he questions watching a league that not so much condones this stuff, but where they don't do more to prevent this kind of stuff. And I know that's a fine line because there's not it's tough to be like there are 53 plus players to a team. There's 32 teams
on the active roster. Not even talking about practice squad.
This league is larger than any of the other leagues in the four majors, right? There's so many. So by sheer volume, we're going to have more troublemakers in the NFL. But like, it feels like still the rate at which they do is still alarming, and it's bad. And, you know, I wish there was a way, there is no simple way to mitigate this kind of stuff, to try to limit this kind of stuff. There's no simple way. There's a lot of answers, a lot of simple solutions that you can add to it, but there's no one way or simple way to do it. But man, like, you just kind of wish, and it wouldn't happen because this league is corrupt, and you know the owners, they're corrupt as everything.
The commissioner made $128 million in 2 years and didn't do
didn't do crap. So I would like to see I wish there was a way, and this is unrealistic. Wish there was a way for the league to kind of put the onus and the punishment on owners if their organizations start to really get a hammering or like start to have a lot of players that do this kind of stuff. And I don't want to sound like an Eagles fan. I don't want to sound like a homer. But objectively looking at it, look how many questionable character players that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys bring into that organization with troubled pass and constantly. Yeah, that was a great catch, by the way. Constantly getting in trouble. Like it is.
I mean, they haven't done that lately, though. They got away from that.
A little bit.
In history, if you go back to the last 10 years, Greg Hardy, I mean, even listen, Lyle Collins. If you want to say Lyle Collins, you want to remember what he was facing when he came out in the draft. But then not only that, my man suspended right now because he tried to bribe off. Who did he try to bribe?
NFL official the urine testing or
I don't know. Like we had one of our young guys on Monday Night's Flight Zone. Jimmy was out somewhere, and he had the whole a good majority of the Flyers, the young Flyers players, walk in. They were all in the group, all had a driver. Like you know what I mean? So why is that not the mentality of some of the NFL players? You see this a lot in basketball. You see this a lot, you see a lot in football. You don't really see it a lot in baseball. You don't see it a lot in hockey. I don't know if it's because it's just not as popular, so the fame isn't there. Because you got to understand, like Henry Ruggs has probably been getting coddled and getting enrolled in since he was in high school.
Yeah.
He was from Alabama, played high school football at Alabama, went to the University of Alabama. Maybe if he doesn't get drafted to Las Vegas, it's a fucking city that never sleeps. So seeing people 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock, and getting a DUI, unfortunately for the Las Vegas Metro PD, it's probably nothing new.
Yeah,
it's probably nothing new, and it's just it's so unfortunate, bro. And I hope at some point in his life within the next 5-10 years that, I mean, this is going to follow him because I think this is a second-degree felony charge. So once you're a felon, I mean, football's on the back burner. You need to get your life together, man. And like I said, I still question why were you rolling around with a loaded gun? I don't understand it. You play in the NFL, dude. If you feel as if you can't be out moving in freedom to where you feel like your life can't be safe, and then on top of that, it's not like the gun was registered to you. It was illegal. You didn't even go through the right legal avenues to obtain the weapon. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. People need to make better decisions. And I think the NFL, I think what Jeff was talking about earlier is that rookie combine that they go through. They try their best, but they really just maybe the league needs to set a curfew. I don't know. Maybe the league needs to set a curfew. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, you're gonna hear people say, "I want to be treated like a man."
Yeah,
but it's
so tough. It's so difficult because there's, like I said, there's no easy answer to any of this. There's none. There really is none. And it's a shame. Thoughts and prayers go out to that family.
Yes,
of the victim. It's horrible, horrible, horrible thing to have to experience. I can't even imagine. So, yeah. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we head out? Before we call it
internals, boys.
What's up?
It.
I wish I can see that. I haven't seen a movie in like 6 months.
I thought you said internals. I'm like, what?
No,
internals.
New Marvel movie. I still haven't seen Shang-Chi. I still haven't seen Venom. Until it's on Disney Plus or on DVD, I don't see movies anymore. Which is why
we have the baby. We can't go out to the movie. There's one movie that I am seeing in theaters, even if it's by myself. And
Spider-Man.
Even the missus gave me the thumbs up. If it comes to this, I'm seeing it by myself in the theaters. It's the Batman in March.
Okay.
Like by that time, even if we can't, like I'm going to see that movie. I am going to see that movie. But yeah, I'm with you. I have to wait for everything on streaming, Jeff. It
Yeah.
sucks because Mary and I, we used to go to the movies almost every weekend. Like we were AMC premiere stub thing.
Yeah, the stuff, the monthly membership. We had
monthly membership where we pay a certain amount of money and then we get to see as many movies as we want that month.
Yeah, we joined that Ponzi scheme that I can't remember what it was, but they basically flamed out in 3 months after they lost, they couldn't have any more money. They didn't have any money.
I knew that was going to happen. Like I was like, my friend was part of that too. Like in terms of he signed up for it and it flamed out after a little while. But yeah, like we used to be at the movies every weekend, seeing movies. Like we were regulars. Now, can't even remember the last time I went to see a movie.
Having kids sucks.
Matt Walsh says, "Yo, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I can't wait for that, but I'm gonna have to wait even longer because I can't see it in theaters." So
yeah,
sucks. Well, I'm excited for that movie too. There's a bunch, but Eternals, yeah, I'm gonna have to wait. I have no opinion on it. I just can't wait for Shang-Chi next week. It comes out the 12th on streaming, so next Friday should be able to see it.
Oh, thank God!
It's a great movie.
Yeah, great movie. All right, boys. It was great. Another great show. Good conversations. Good to have us three back on the screen and, us three back live. If you are still with us, still tuning in, thank you so much. Our second half was brought to you by All Campus. Make sure you get 20% off. Get 20% off, including hats, t-shirts, and Team Cornell sets simply by subscribing. For myself, Chucks, for Pete to my left, and for Jeff, we thank you so much for joining in. We thank all of our sponsors, Manscaped, Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, and of course, FanUp for bringing us to you. And from our A2D family, I can't talk here. Our A2D family to yours. We appreciate you. Hopefully the Eagles play a good game this Sunday. Enjoy the game. Fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds, all that. And we will see you next Thursday night. Peace out, gentlemen.
Peace.